Good morning, boys and girls. It is Thursday, so we have our nonfiction reader today, and it is The Life Cycle of a Butterfly. And I always love studying the life cycle of a butterfly, how they start as a caterpillar and then change into a butterfly. So that's what we're going to be learning today. And if you remember, a nonfiction reader means that everything in it is true. It is all facts about whatever the subject is, and today that's the butterfly. We're going to start on the very back page with our glossary, which has the words that will be bold in our story, and they will tell us what those words mean. So let's begin with our glossary. The first word is adolescent. An adolescent is a young animal that is developing into an adult. In people like us, an adolescent would be like a teenager, so somebody that's growing up but they're not quite an adult yet. Cocoon. A cocoon is a case of silk that protects a moth as it changes, and that would be a moth or a butterfly. Both spin into a cocoon before they change. We've seen this word before when we were talking about our frogs. Metamorphosis, a major change in an animal. Frogs go through metamorphosis when they begin as a tadpole, and then as they go through metamorphosis, they change and their tail falls off, they grow legs, and they become a frog. Reflect, to bounce back. So one of our vocabulary words was reflection. And reflection is when you look in a mirror or in something shiny or maybe a pool of water and you see yourself, okay? Well, what's happening is your image is bouncing back at you. And so reflection comes from the word reflect. Shrivels. Shrivels means to wrinkle up due to a lack of moisture. So if you leave something out in the sun that is wet, it'll probably kind of shrivel up and get all wrinkly when it dries. And so that means that it doesn't have any moisture on it, and so it's going to shrivel up. So maybe if you have eaten a banana and you've left the peel out in the sun, it'll shrivel up. And that's because it's not getting the moisture from the banana anymore. It's just the peel that's left. Okay, toxins. Toxins, I think we've had that word before too. Toxins are poisonous substances. And I think that we talked about that word also when we were talking about frogs, because the poisonous dart frog had toxins on its skin. Remember that? All right, so let's go ahead and begin our book. Introduction. Butterflies are admired for their gracefulness and beauty. Scientists estimate that there are about 15,000 and 20,000 different species of butterflies in the world. Wow, that's a lot of different kinds of butterflies. Butterflies are insects with 4 wings. Although their wings are brightly colored and reflect light, that means the light bounces off of their wings. If the sun shines on their wings, the light bounces off of it. If you look very closely, you would be able to see that their wings are transparent or see-through. We've had that word before also. That means you can see through it, kind of like a glass door or a window. Like other insects, they have 3 main sections of their bodies: head, thorax, and abdomen. Because many animals like to snack on butterflies, these insects have lots of adaptations, means where they live, to keep themselves from being eaten. For example, Some butterflies trick predators with bright colors that say they are poisonous. Remember how pretty the poisonous dart frog was? It had those bright colors. That tells the predators that they're poisonous. While others camouflage themselves to blend in with their surroundings. Life cycle. Butterflies go through a complete metamorphosis in their lifetime. This means the baby version of the insect looks very different from the adult version until it goes through its major change. There are 4 stages of life for insects that go through a complete change. And you have looked at my little plastic bee pieces in our classroom where it has the egg and then the larva and the pupa and then the adult bee. Butterflies are very similar because they are also insects. So they start as an egg and then they become a larva. And a larva kind of looks like a little teeny tiny worm. And then a pupa, and that's as they are spinning into their cocoon or coming out of their cocoon. And I'll show you some pictures of that in just a minute. And finally, an adult. In contrast, many insects like the dragonfly go through an incomplete metamorphosis. The difference for the dragonfly is that there are only 3 stages of life. The baby insect looks like a miniature version of the adult. I don't think anyone would claim that a caterpillar looks like a butterfly. So a complete metamorphosis is when it changes from something completely different, just like a tadpole looks more like a fish instead of a frog. A caterpillar does not look anything like it does when it becomes an adult. Okay? All right, well, first of all, the first stage of the life cycle is the eggs. And this is what little caterpillar eggs look like. They're so itty bitty. So think about how big a leaf is, okay? Probably about the size of your hand. And those teeny tiny, they almost look like little decorations you would put on a cupcake. That's how small they are. That's the size of a butterfly egg. The amount of eggs that a butterfly lays is different for each species of butterfly. Butterflies place the eggs on the bottom of leaves to increase their chances of surviving. The monarch butterfly lays her eggs on the underside of a milkweed leaf, so that once hatched, the caterpillar can eat the leaf. And we read that in our story. Farfalina was eating the leaf and she chewed a hole in it, which made the rain go through and drop onto Marcel's head because he was using the leaf as an umbrella, right? Eggs vary in size, shape, and color, but most are light colored, tiny, and round. There is a small dent on the tops of the eggs where air and water enters. Like other types of eggs, there is a yolk inside the egg that the developing larva will eat and use for its growth. So there's a little itty bitty yolk, just like there would be in a chicken egg, that the larva eats while it grows. Larva. Larvae is the scientific name for insects when they are in their adolescent stage, or like teenagers. For the butterfly, we refer to the larva as a caterpillar. The caterpillar has one job: to eat. Its first meal is usually the egg that it hatches from. So after it hatches out of the egg, it eats the egg, and that's its first meal. It must eat enough to keep itself alive while inside the chrysalis. Ooh. Let's think about what the chrysalis might be. If the caterpillar's inside the chrysalis, what do you think the chrysalis is? It's the cocoon, yeah. And allows itself to develop into a butterfly. While they are only in the larval stage for a few weeks, During that time, caterpillars eat 27,000 times their body weight. Caterpillars have 12 eyes, but have terrible eyesight. That means they don't see very well. They have 6 legs that work and many false legs that don't move, but allow the caterpillar to balance and climb. Do you remember when we did our directed drawing and we had those 6 legs in the front, and then there were all just those little legs in the back? That I think they were called pro legs. They don't really work, but they do help the caterpillar to climb. In order to protect themselves, some caterpillars try to blend in, and others, like the monarch, will turn their food into toxins inside their bodies that keep animals from eating them all the way through adulthood. So they actually turn their food into poison after it's inside their body. So it doesn't hurt them, but if another animal tries to eat them, it would poison that animal. And that's probably why monarchs are the most beautiful butterflies. They have all those beautiful colors. All right, our next stage is the pupa. And we're going to stop right there. My video is almost out of time. We're going to call this part 1, and you will click on the video right below this to get the rest of this story, okay?